So what's it like being here today, revisiting the 70s?
It was great being, after coming out of rehab, it's great to be anywhere. And to be here was a great way to celebrate being, 12 days sober, thank God. Now, that reminds me of the most of the 70s, a girl going up the steps of junior high with a halter top and pulling the halter top down.
Okay.
Then going to the principal's office.
You're watching Lee Bailey's EURweb. Hey, Web.
Okay, so what was it like revisiting the 70s here today?
So much has changed. The industry has changed. Technology has changed. Publicity has changed. Promotion, marketing. It's all so different. Everything was a challenge back then, and there's so many ways that it's made easier today. Not that it's easy, but it's just so much more accessible to be able to succeed. The fact that I was able to succeed in a period where all the odds were against me and nobody wanted me to succeed in terms of the industry. I don't even know how I did it.
It's almost like there's been a couple of lifetimes worth of changes in technology. Would you agree?
Well, absolutely. Just the fact that I can say, hey, can I have a copy of the show when I'm done? There was no copy of the show back in the 70s. I used to host a show called Greatest Sports Legends, and I was the only female host to ever do the show in the 30 years that it ran in syndication. But the episodes that I got are on like 3/4-inch masters, They don't even have 3/4-inch machines anymore, so you can't even see them, It just, everything has changed, and I think for the better, because everything looks amazing.
What were your favorite things from the 70s?
Well, maybe in the 70s, because I was a lot younger, I'd have to say dancing. I don't do that anymore. But, dancing in platform shoes at clubs. I kind of miss that.
Hi, this is Linnell, and you're watching EURweb. Hi, Lee.
Hey, Linnell, what's it like for you being here today, revisiting the 70s?
I wish I could be there every day. I was thin. The 70s were a great time, and roller skating and disco dancing and staying out all night, and before crack, before AIDS, and everything was wonderful. I loved the 70s. Earth, Wind, and Fire was my favorite thing from the 70s. The Jacksons were my second favorite. Parliament Funkadelic, Graham Central Station, the Pointer Sisters, Sly and the Family Stone, Asti Spumante, and then drinking your first rum and coke and drinking your first Long Island iced tea. Yeah, those are good times.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, so about your time travel from the 70s up until today, what have been some of the highlights of and you could tell me your life or your career or both?
Moving to Los Angeles and finding out that the people that you see on television really are real people. But between the 70s and the 90s, my dreams started to come true. Well, my favorite things today, of course, I never thought I was going to have kids. I was a child of the 70s. I wasn't going to have any kids. I was going to continue being a flower child forever. But I am a mom. It's wonderful. Growing up and realizing what a good man really is. Having narrowed all your worthless friends out and got a nice core of really good friends that you can share your life with, and not living at home anymore. That's a dream. And just, trying to be in the city with all the competitors and still remaining victorious in my genre. So and living to see a black president, having a black president come to fruition in my early wonderful lifetime has been a taste that I'm never going to get out of my mouth. It's wonderful.
And that just makes me think about culture. What do you think about the changes in culture and also technology today?
Well, I think the changes in technology are beyond words. I don't even know how my parents survived without a cell phone. Hell, my mother had 8 kids. How'd she keep up with us with no cell phone? Because your cell phone was, don't let that street light come on. You better have your butt back at the house before it dies. The internet I love and hate simultaneously. It's wonderful to be able to have things like Facebook and have people find you that you haven't talked to in years, and then it's also a curse to have people find you that you haven't talked to in years.
Hi, this is Todd Bridges giving a shout out to EURweb.
Hi, this is Ernest Thomas Raj from What's Happening, Mr. Omar from Everybody Hates Chris. And I just want to give a big shout out to EURweb, Mr. Lee Bailey.
That's wonderful. Now tell me about what's your time travel been like from the 70s? You could tell me some of the highlights of your life, your career, up until now.
Okay, of course, What's Happening, August 6, 1976, incredible. The summer replacement top 10 show. Who could have thought? And then on top of that, Sidney Poitier chooses me for a piece of the action. He asked me to be in his film, My Hero, My Idol. Then Roots, it was LeVar Burton and I tied neck and neck.
Yes.
They gave it to LeVar, but they gave me, because they loved my screen test, they gave me a role. They created a role for me. Can't get no better than that.
Amazing.
What's happening now? What's happening now, 7 years later, becomes #1 in syndication. Unprecedented. A show that was dead. Well, not dead, but it was popular in the 70s. Then it comes back, become #1 in syndication in the 80s. Chris Rock and Ali Leroy choosing me for Everybody Hates Chris. I was totally blindsided by that, because now the little kids, they know Mr. Omar, and they're saying, Mr. Omar. They want to hear me say tragic, tragic all the time.
How important is doing this, revisiting the 70s, the 80s, the 90s? How important is it to come back and document things like this?
70s is a foundation. Remember, 60s kind of kicked it off with the revolution, but 70s was solidified. We had our own hair. We had our own hair care products. We wasn't ashamed of who we were. So 70s was kind of like the beginning of the movement. And the 80s was cool because we were still 70s people. 90s, they got lost. They got lost a little bit. They got Jerry curl messed us up. Jerry curls, a lot of fumes from Jerry curl, a lot of chemicals. And the Jerry curls messed us up, and that slowed the revolution down. What I think about white women, I try to date within my race. Now that I'm married, but there were some light-skinned girls. They were light enough to pass. They were white girls, but they were dark white girls. So I was able to date them.
No, that wasn't my question.
Oh.
But technology, what do you think about the changes in culture and technology from the 70s up until today?
Well, technology changed. Even the 70s, the technology changed from the 60s to 70s. So, technology is always going to come. You can't run from it. I think now, exponentially, it moves much faster. But let's face it, if we'd had texting and email back then, we'd been naked. We was freaks in the 70s. So thank God we didn't have texting and video cameras, because we'd have been like naked. Everybody had a tape. I'd have had a tape. You want to know what I feel about Halle Berry? I would tell you. Halle Berry.
She's your favorite person?
Halle Berry is she's one of my favorite people. But Halle knows. I just need Halle to know you can't call me at night. That's all I'm trying to say. I can put that out on the web. Don't call me at night.
Hi, this is Evelyn Champagne King, and you're watching EURweb.
So what's it like being here revisiting the 70s today?
Honestly, I love revisiting the 70s. I'm glad I'm revisiting the 70s, because the 70s to me is never going to go. Because regardless, like you heard Sinbad say, we're all from the 70s. The ones that are from the 70s will be here regardless forever. I just think we're showing the young ones, where we've been. We're just bringing them back to where we've already been.
This is James Ingram, and you're watching EURweb.
Hello, Mr. Ingram.
Hello. How you doing?
What were some of your favorite things?
Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway. That was it for me.
That was it.
Yeah, a lot of people were good and stuff, but they were just
What were
exceptional.
some of the highlights of your life in your time travel from the 70s, from the 80s through until now?
Well, I came out to Los Angeles, California in 1973 with a band called Revelation Funk. The biggest thing that happened for us was we did all of the music for the movie Dolomite, and we were actually in the film. And then after that, the band broke up, and they went back, and I stayed here. And I did a demo called Just Once, which started my career with Quincy Jones.
Well, now tell me, how important is it, do you think, for us to go back and revisit the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s and document them in the way that we are doing today?
You see, in order to know where you're going, you got to know where you came from. And a lot of kids don't know